Good morning, Advocate Paul.
Good morning, Chief Justice. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you well?
Yes, thank you, Chief Justice.
You look relaxed and confident, or are you as nervous as some of us were when you appeared before this body?
I am as nervous as anybody else.
Okay, all right, okay. For how many years have you practiced law?
I started with articleships, if I may start there, in 1984, and it's been ever since then, Chief Justice. So it's 33 years if I count the articleship with it.
How many years as an advocate?
23 years as an advocate, Chief Justice.
How many as silk?
It will be 3 years in November, Chief Justice.
Yes. And what is the total period of your acting stint?
I acted for 2 full terms and another month in March of this year, Chief Justice.
Have you ever had reason to be embarrassed by the length the length of the period it took for you to deliver a reserve judgment?
Not at all, Chief Justice. No, I think the longest period it took me to give a judgment was about 10 to 14 days.
Never 10 months?
Never.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
JP?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thanks to yourself.
I'm fine, thank
Yes.
you. You've been here before, haven't you?
This is my 3rd time, yes.
Third time. All right. Don't be too surprised if I don't ask you many questions. The transcript of your last interview is before us, so I would not want to repeat the questions I asked you last time.
Thank you, Judge President. Yes.
But since that interview, you acted in
yes.
our division?
That's correct. During March of this year, yes.
Yes. Are there any challenges that you faced?
Not at all, no.
Would you say in your acting stint, not only this one, but the 2 other terms that you mentioned,
Yes.
you've been exposed to the full spectrum of work that is normally allocated to a High Court judge?
Indeed, so yes. I, for instance, did criminal trials, criminal appeals, civil trials, etc. So everything that was given to me, I did, and I was able to handle. Thank you.
Did you cope?
I did so, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, JP. MEC?
Thank you very much. Morning, Mr. Paul.
Good morning, Commissioner Mashinini.
How are you?
Fine, thanks yourself.
Thank you very much. Just one question that I want to check with you. Is that why do you think that you are ready to be appointed as a judge?
Commissioner, I think the length of time that I've been involved in the law allows me to give something back to the people of South Africa, and I would like to do that given the opportunity. I also think that I could, in the process, advance the constitutional values of the Republic of South Africa.
Do you think that you are going to add value to the justice system in the country?
Indeed, so I do believe so. Yes, I think I bring some experience to the table, which I think is always something that is of value. And as I say, I would like to uphold and protect the Constitution of the Republic and advance the democratic values of that.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, MEC. Judge President Hlophe?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Mr. Paul, let me put the following to you, sir.
Yes.
There is racism on the bench and in the profession in general, and this results inter alia in skewed briefing patterns,
Yes.
whereby black practitioners in general and African women in particular are excluded from the mainstream.
Yes.
What have you personally done to ensure that there is transfer of skills,
Yes.
so that in the end, black women, African women in particular, also are exposed rather to good work?
Judge President, what I did was, inter alia, to take part in the advocacy training program within the bar since as far back as 1996, I believe. So I've been actively involved in that regard. I've also always tried to pass on such knowledge that I do have in this regard. I have also, when the occasion arose, tried to promote. There was, for instance, a case where I, in my interaction in a case, came across a black female attorney who I assessed to be very bright and talented, and I thereafter, a week or so thereafter, I heard about an attorney looking for such a person, and I told him about it, and I believe she went there, and she's blossoming in that position. So.
Secondly, Chief Justice, through you, let's talk about indigenous African languages.
Yes.
The language of record is English.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you believe that the promotion and development and use of indigenous languages in the final analysis is the way to go so that we can develop our own jurisprudence in our own languages?
Yes, I think it's the majority of the people of South Africa would fall under that category, Judge President. So there can be no other way than the progression in that way to be the correct way to proceed henceforth.
It's a small follow-up, Chief Justice. Thank you for the answer. What about the introduction of indigenous languages into the LLB curriculum?
As a Judge President, may I just ask, do you mean as a language to be proficient with, such as Afrikaans or English, whatever the case may be? Yeah.
I'm talking about indigenous African languages, such
Yes.
as Sesotho, Setswana, and so on.
Yes.
I'm asking you for your opinion.
Yes.
What about those languages being the inclusion of those languages into the LLB curriculum?
Yes.
How about that being made compulsory so that those languages can be developed, so that in the final analysis they can be on a par with English and Afrikaans?
I would agree with that 100%, Judge President. I think it would be a good attribute to the legal curriculum in our universities, and I, for one, would most certainly say that that would be a good thing. Thank you. No, that's fine.
Thank you, Judge President. Commissioner Masuku.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Advocate Pohl.
Good morning, Commissioner Masutu.
Just following up on a question asked by Judge President Hlophe on transformation, you say that you have taken part in advocacy training.
That is correct, yes.
Now, can you share with the Commission how your involvement in the advocacy training was in fact an advancement of transformation?
What the advocacy training at heart is that it's advocacy training, as you know. It's a structured training process within the constituent bars in South Africa. So all pupils, which would therefore include all pupils who happen to be from the previous in disadvantaged groups, would then take part in that. And senior counsel, like myself, and other counsel would then actively partake in, for instance, practical training, etc., moot courts, and the like. And it's an whole year process.
Commissioner President Meyer.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Mr. Pohl.
Good morning.
On the last occasion, I think that you were here, you were asked whether you are fluent in any of the indigenous languages.
That is correct, yes.
Answer was that you are able to follow only Sesotho if some phrases of that language,
yes, that is correct,
if spoken slowly. Have you done anything since then to improve that situation?
Commissioner, what I've done is I've tried for a long time, not only since then, but even before then, through my Sesotho-speaking friends and colleagues, to try at the least improve my vocabulary, but I'm unfortunately not able to speak the language yet fluently, and I can, therefore, for instance, if there's a consultation and I hear the words Metsi, I know it's water, or Aketsebe is I don't know, etc. So I don't want to let it sound to be exhaustive of my vocabulary, but I've tried to increase my vocabulary at least, and it has helped me in the process, I think.
The Chief Justice, in winding up your interview, had also asked you to explain your judicial philosophy to the Commission.
Yes.
And your answer was that you support Ubuntu.
Yes, I do.
Do you still stand by that answer?
I do indeed. Of course, I uphold and protect the Constitution of the Republic. The Constitution happens to be the prime law of the land. But in that, I think it's imperative that one also appreciates and adhere to the principles of Ubuntu.
Thank you, Brett. Let me just ask you a difficult question.
Yes.
Because I assume there is nobody to ask questions. And I do because I think you may just be the person to help. Judge President Hlophe asked you about racism.
Yes.
We say there shouldn't be any preamble. Maybe I should have a preamble. When a judge is a racist or a magistrate, in all likelihood, because it has since become sophisticated, he or she won't say, Kafir. No. He won't say, you are inferior. It has become sophisticated. You will just see a trend of every time, let's say it's a black racist, every time the black person and a white person have a case, using the skills that he or she has to make sure that his or her own wins. You'll be, but this thing doesn't add up. Why is this person pursuing this line? And similarly, if he or she is white, you will see a person bending over backward to make sure that his or her own succeeds to the point of becoming emotional.
Yes.
So, what then would you suggest should be done to uproot racism in our society and everywhere it manifests? What is it that must be done practically?
Yes.
Beyond just, because everybody is denying there's racism, but there's no racist.
Yes.
So what is it that we can do?
Chief Justice, I believe that if you are in a leadership position, or not only if you're everybody in society should perhaps, as you yourself said in the Tshwane City judgment, said you must internalize the preamble to the Constitution. And if you do that, you say, we, the people of South Africa, everybody, must appreciate that there is, or there were injustices of the past, and if you don't do that, then if you don't do that, you can't transform. So you have to acknowledge that there were injustices, and then you must act accordingly in future. You must. It's no use saying you're not a racist, but you act differently. So your deeds really show what you do. I think all of us who may have children know if you tell a child to do something, he might not follow you, he might not do so, but he's most likely to follow your example. And I think that in life, whether you're a judge, a magistrate, an advocate, whatever the case might be, you must let your actions show and be of such a nature that people will want to follow you and emulate you in the way that you live.
What if you are a racist but you are not aware?
Excuse me?
What if you are a racist as a person but you are not aware? You know, the so-called an unconscious bias or unconscious racism. How do you help that kind of a person who does not think there's a problem to fix, but there's a problem? Or you are biased against women.
Yes.
But to you it has become so normal that you don't think there's a problem. How do you reach out to that person to realize there's a problem that must be addressed, so that when they become judges, you don't get surprised a judge makes a statement that shocks Every one of you. Oh, every black person must first have sex with his daughter before the daughter can be married. You don't get shocked like that.
Yes.
What do you do?
Well, I think one has to, I mean, racism like apartheid, I mean, apartheid was declared a crime against humanity. It's something that must be abolished to its roots. So I think if one encounters such a person, one has to, you can't say in good humor tolerance almost just listen to it and let it go by. You have to actively address that person, tell him what is wrong, and within the means available to you, try and convince him to leave his ways and to move on forward.
Yeah. Well, before I ask, I think first would be Commissioner Fourie, Minister and MEC. Let me apologize to you for asking you this question.
Yes.
It just concerns me. I'm looking for answers. I don't have them.
Yes.
Commissioner Fourie?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Advocate Pohl.
Good morning, Commissioner.
I think I would just like to take you quickly to the comments received
Yes.
on your nomination.
Yes.
And I'm not going to read everything that may be applicable, but just sort of short extracts from those comments.
Yes.
The first is from the GCB.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen that.
I have, yes.
It says the candidate is held in high regard by not only the members of this society, but all sectors of the legal fraternity of the Free State, and in other divisions for his skill and ability as a jurist and lawyer. His integrity, work ethos, dedication to the interest of his clients, and his willingness to assist and advise colleagues.
Yes.
Have you read that?
I did, yes.
You got any comment to that?
Naturally, it's a positive comment, and I must agree with it. As far as I know, but I don't know. I'm not privy to the subject. To the subjective mind of the person that wrote the report, but I must agree with it, yes.
The Black Lawyers Association says the following.
Yes.
The only difficulty the Black Lawyers Association has with Advocate Roux Pohl SC is that he has only acted for 2 terms.
Yes.
The Black Lawyers Association is of the view that he should be permitted to act for a longer period as a judge in order to prepare him to be a judge of the High Court. At this stage, the Black Lawyers does not support his nomination and appointment.
Yes.
It appears that Advocate Pohl has acted for the month of March 2017. However, this is still not sufficient time for him to be a judge of the High Court.
Yes.
On your questionnaire, I see that you've indicated that you've acted for the 4th term of 2013 and the 3rd term of 2014 as well,
Yes.
and not only for the month of March 2017.
That is correct, yes, Commissioner. And I think that comment must, with respect, be viewed in the total context of the 33 years that I've been involved in the law. 23 years I've been an advocate. I'm a qualified attorney. I was a state prosecutor in the Magistrates Court, the Regional Court, and the High Court. So I think the comment must be viewed within that context as well, yes.
The National Bar Council of South Africa submits that in support of the 2 most suitable candidates, Ms. Chesiwe and Advocate Pohl, for the vacant position as Judge of the High Court of South Africa.
I noticed
You've seen that?
I did,
And then
yes.
lastly, the Society of the Law Teachers of Southern Africa say it seems a bit odd that after such a long time of practicing as an advocate and being a senior counsel, the candidate can only point to one advocate whom he mentored for the from the previously disadvantaged groups.
Yes.
This indeed is an important point to indicate that the advocate has not contributed a lot to issues of transformation and affording opportunities to people from previously disadvantaged groups. This factor is extremely important since it does not provide a clear picture as to how the candidate will contribute to these issues if appointed a judge of the High Court. Yes. You've read that. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, I think what must be viewed in this context is, it is so that I only had one black pupil. But the way it works with us in the Free State is we have the bottom, say, 10 of the in seniority of the bar don't get pupils because they haven't got enough experience yet to teach other people. The top, the silks and the top few also don't. So you have the middle portion of the bar, which were for a long time approximately, say, 20, 25 people. So, and it gets rotated. You get allocated people without you having an input into who you get, who you don't get. So it is so. I got the one, and I mentored him, and he passed, and he's still practicing. He's in fact the longest practicing black member of the Free State Society of Advocates, and he's just applied to take silk, for instance. I also had a number of other pupils, but they were not from previously disadvantaged groups. But it is also because they were merely allotted to me by the Bar Council without me having an input in that.
Thank you, Advocate Pohl.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Thank you, Commissioner Fori. I think I can't read the CJ's handwriting now. I think it's you, Minister. Okay.
No, thank you. Actually, President, I wanted to follow on the last question that was asked.
Yes.
Because indeed I was concerned that given the number of years,
yes,
and the diverse fields of experience that you've acquired,
yes,
that you should only have been able to share that expertise to promote transformation in the limited way that you have been able to.
Yes.
Now, I don't think I understood the way in which the rules of your bar operates such that it would have limited you in the manner that it did, but I'm nonetheless concerned about the final outcome, that you were only able to share all of this experience just to groom only one person. Am I missing something here?
Minister, no, I appreciate your concern. I just wish to reiterate and go back again. Minister must remember I actively took part in all the structures of advocacy training, which in turn meant that all the knowledge that I have, I parted through the structures of advocacy training, which is an extensive process.
And I'm not talking about theoretical training. I'm talking about taking somebody under your wing,
yes,
in actual active practice, so that that person,
yes,
there is a direct skills transfer in a concrete manner, not at a theoretical level.
Yes,
Pardon me, President.
Thank you. Sorry, I can't take it further than I have to explain that it gets rotated and it gets allocated to you, and that is the basis for getting a pupil for a year long. You see, and it's on that basis that I had whoever was given to me, I mentored in that regard.
Yeah, perhaps I would have asked the question differently to say, given your seniority, what is it that you did to try and influence what is seemingly an inefficient system of skills transfer?
Yes.
I'm sure being a senior person,
yes,
at that bar, you also had some influence in the design and the redesign of the system. Did you make any effort to ensure that in the end,
yes,
people like yourself with the vastness of skills that you have accumulated are given the opportunity to impart those skills?
What I did was I've always invited all junior advocates to come to me, to show their pleadings to me before they send it out to attorneys. I've suggested alterations to that, etc. on that basis. I must also say that at some stage, and I still believe that there's something to be explored, is that you hone your skills at the bar, I believe, mostly in the magistrates' court. But the problem at present in the magistrates' court is that you only get the taxable amount that an attorney can tax for counsel, for junior counsel, is say just something over 1,000 rand or so. So if the counsel asks 6,000-7,000 rand, that is an attorney and client bill that has to be sold to your client to, in other words,
I understand.
Yes,
apologies, I understand.
Yes, what I'm saying is that if there is, for instance, I'm advocating just for a slim raise in that, so that more advocates, more junior advocates, more black advocates will then be briefed to appear in the magistrates' court, so as to enhance their skills in that regard.
And just the last point I want to clarify. It is clear to me that we need to change the attitude within the corporate sector, where the work actually emanates.
Yes.
But equally, we need to change the attitude within the profession to encourage clients to be prepared to allow black practitioners to be paired, at least, with their white counterparts.
Yes.
Is there a genuine effort on the part of white counsel, especially senior counsel, senior counsel, to influence the mindset out there, so that in the end the gates can be opened for black practitioners to also participate meaningfully?
Yes. Minister, may I answer you in this regard? I don't know about other bars, but at our bar we have a very active transformation committee, and we have recently produced a document with various suggestions, which is at this stage a discussion document, but I think most of it will be implemented. And at the heart and the root of your question is really whether counsel, and particular black junior counsel, are able to survive in the end. So we have this fund to which I, as you've seen in my CV, I contribute to, and at the beginning of August of this year, this fund stood at 169,000 Rand. We are some 67 counsel, and we have paid out some of this to deserving counsel. So that helps in a certain sense. Then the further suggestions in this document is, for instance, that where an attorney was in any case going to brief senior and junior counsel, that senior counsel must then have a black junior counsel, which I agree with wholeheartedly. There's also a suggestion that where you have as a senior counsel research work that you simply don't have time, that you then utilize black counsel at remuneration, of course. So these are the suggestions that are on the table, and we are actively debating and trying to do something about it in the Free State.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Minister. MEC?
Yeah, thank you, Chief Justice. Just one question, Mr. Pohl.
Yes, Commissioner.
By your own admission,
yes,
I wanted to make a follow-up to the question raised to you by Judge Kloppe around the inclusion of the indigenous languages into the LLB curriculum.
Yes.
But here is the point. The point is, since the last interview that you were here, seeing that importance of including indigenous language into the LLB curriculum,
yes,
by your own efforts to improve on understanding and speaking the indigenous language,
yes,
what could have disturbed you to make sure that you have that necessary improvement, to make sure that when the eventuality come, then you are able to get into that space?
Do I understand your question correctly, that you're asking what motivated me to do so? Is that...
I'm saying that your improvement since last time and now hasn't gone up enough.
Yes.
What are you doing to make sure that you actually improve that area that you yourself, you have admitted that it's so important that to include the indigenous language into the LLB curriculum?
I have to say, I'm ashamed to say that I have not done more than trying to increase my vocabulary, Commissioner. I would like to give you a different answer, but that is unfortunately the truth of the matter.
Thank you.
Commissioner Norman?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Mr. Pohl.
Good morning, Commissioner.
I just want to understand from the answers that you've given to the questions that you asked by the Minister and the President, I just want to understand, have you, by the answers that you've given, are you saying that you have not worked in a matter with a black junior?
That is correct, yes.
So all the years that you've been in practice, you have not done that?
No,
Because I don't want to misunderstand your answers.
I've been practicing as a senior for 2.5, almost 2 and 3/4 of a year.
Yes.
It's senior counsel that gets junior counsel allotted to them. In the cases that I've been briefed economically, it wasn't feasible. I've had, I think, 5 cases where I've had juniors, and in those cases, it was the juniors that drew in senior counsel and drew my aid in to assist them in those cases.
Sorry, maybe the Chief Justice could allow me a further question. Well, I must just say this to you. I started leading
Yes.
way before I took silk. As a senior junior advocate,
Yes.
you are enjoined to empower juniors. I did that way back before I took
Yes.
silk. So are you saying to us from that time you started becoming over 10 years as an advocate? You have never worked with a junior counsel, even if it's a junior from 0 to 3 years?
Commissioner, I accept that what you did, what you're suggesting to me is a laudable practice, but I have not done that, and it's not something that is common with us, unfortunately.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Commissioner Norman. You are excused, sir.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Please excuse me.
you.